Okay, this is the beginning of our unit on probability, and for an introduction we just want to get used to some ways of writing probability. If you look at this chart here, it takes some fractions and it has us write them in different ways into decimals and percents, and we need to be comfortable with the fact that they all mean the same thing. So let's take a look at, these are the three important columns. Okay, they are different ways to represent the same thing. If we take our calculator and go 25 divided by 80, it gives you the decimal 3125. So that decimal is the same as the fraction. And if we multiply by 100, 31.25, all right, that's the percent. So generally speaking, these three things mean the same. They're just different ways of writing them. Okay? And let's quickly do the fraction in simplest terms. So what we want to do is, you should recognize that 25 and 80 both have a common value of 5. So if I divide by 5 over 5, like this is just 1. So I'm not changing the number. But if I divide by 5 over 5, I get 5 over 16. So that's the fraction in simplest form. Okay, let's do the next one. All right, 6 sixtieths. If you divide this one by 6 and 6, you get 1/10. So 6 sixtieths is also the same as 1/10. And to get to the decimal, I would divide 1 by 10, and I get decimal 1. And if I multiply that by 100, I get 10%. Okay, again, if you're not sure about that, take 0.1 multiply by 100. Okay, and you'll get 10. All right, 50 over 50. Well, what is that as simplest form? I mean, they both have a 50, so if I divide by 50 over 50, this is 1. As a decimal, well, if you divide 1 by 1, you'll just get 1, so we'll put it as 1.0, and this is 100%. Okay? Now, do you remember how to multiply fractions? To multiply, it's actually easier than adding and subtracting them. We just have to multiply the top, so 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 5 is 15. And then you would check really quickly, is that in simplest terms? Well, yeah, 2 and 15, there's no number that goes into both of those. Okay, and then let's try this one. So multiply the across, 3 times 6 is 18, and 6 times 8 is 48. That's the correct answer, but in simplest terms, I need to say, is there a number that goes into the top and the bottom? Well, I'm not sure. Maybe you can see they're both even numbers, so let's divide by 2 over 2. Okay, if I divide 18 by 2, that's 9, and if I divide 48 by 2, that's 24. Okay, and now, is that in simplest form? Well, I can't divide both by 2, but I see that I can divide both by 3. And this gives me 3 over 8. That's simplest form. Okay, now it's possible that right off the bat, you saw 18 and 48 and you said, hey, I can divide that by 6 and 6. Again, you would get 3 over 8. Same answer. Okay? Write each ratio. Sometimes we have trouble with ratios because we think they're the same as fractions. They're not quite. The ratio in this case is going to compare what it tells you to compare. So if I look at black to gray, there are 5 black square or dots and 3 gray ones. So the comparison is 5 to 3. This would be the same as writing it as 5 over 3. Okay? And if I do the next one, black to gray, I think this is supposed to be black. So there would be 11, and how many gray? There are 8. Okay, the next one is supposed to compare gray to black, so you're just going to reverse your ratio. The next one is comparing gray to the total number. Now this is more like a fraction. there are 3 out of a total of 8. If I add up all of the dots, there are 8 dots. Okay, and here gray, there are 8. How many in total? 19. Okay, and then black to all, well, it's 5 compared to 8, and here it's 11 compared to 19. Alright, next, probability on our number line. Every time I see a number line like this, I always think of, you know those little bars when you do something on your computer and it says this is how long it is till it's finished? And, you know, it moves really quickly here and it says I'm 90% done, and then all of a sudden it takes a ton longer. Now it's only 91% and this part goes really slow. Well, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're putting these numbers on this number line. Here is 0 and here is 100%. Where is 50 going to be? Hopefully it makes sense to you that that would be right in the middle of 0 and 100%. Okay. Now where's 25%? 25% would be right in the middle of 0 and 50%. Okay. 75%, that's 3/4 of the way. 95%, that's pretty close to 100%. We'd probably put it up there. Okay, 30%. I think 30% is just a little bigger than 25%. And 5% is just a little bigger than 0%. Okay, write each ratio in simplest terms. This is similar to if it were a fraction. We're going to divide both by 6. So 6 divided by 6 would be 1, and 24 divided by 6 would be 1/4. Okay, is there a number that goes into both of these? Hopefully you can see 2 goes into 28 14 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. Alright, now when we get into probability, 100% chance means that the event is for sure going to happen. If I say something's 100% sure, that means it is going to happen. If I say it's 0%, that means it's never going to happen. Okay? So, is it likely that I will have homework tonight? Ask yourself that. Is it likely that I will have homework tonight? I think so. True. You always have something you could be doing. Is it unlikely that I will go home on the bus? Well, you ask yourself that. For me, is it unlikely? Yeah, well, I go home in a car, so that's true. Maybe for you, you are going home on the bus, so then it would be false. Okay, there is 100% chance that I will be at school tomorrow. Well, in this day and age with COVID, you never know. You never know that if it's 100% chance. I'm going to put false here because I don't think it's 100% true. Is there 0% chance of rain tomorrow? Well, this is hard. I'm making the video a few days early, so I don't know. But if we, is there ever a day where it says it's 0% chance of rain? I think some days. Maybe we'll put false here because there's always a chance of rain, I guess. Okay, write each fraction in lowest terms. Alright, I'm going to divide by 2/2, so this is 1/4. I'm going to divide by 3/3. So this is 1/3. I'm going to divide this one by 14/14. So that's 1/2. Notice these are always going to add up to 1, because otherwise I've changed the fraction. They have to add up to 1. Okay, what goes into 20 and 24? I think 4 and 4, so I get 5/6. Is there a number that goes into 9 and 33? I think 3 does. So I get 3/11. And is there a number that goes into 8 and 8? Yeah. Okay, so there's your introduction. We're going to do this next lesson in class, but I'm going to give you just the beginning of it so that we can get the notes written down, and then we'll do the examples together in class. Okay, the lesson today is about experimental probability. You may have heard expressions like this: 8 out of 10 veterinarians recommend a certain brand of pet food. Or you may have heard there is a 70% chance of rain today. These are expressions of probability. Probability is a prediction of how likely it is that a particular event will happen. It can be expressed as a fraction, a decimal, a percentage, or in words. The formula for calculating probability of an event, so this means the probability of A happening, is the number of occurrences of the event A over the total number of possible outcomes. Okay, we're going to use this a lot. Okay, so just a quick example. If you take a die, you guys know what a die is, right? Okay, on one side it has 2 dots, one has one side, it's 1, 2, 3, it has 4, 5, or 6 dots. Okay, if we wanted to do the probability of 6 dots, the probability of this happening, well, how many sides have that? In other words, how many events have A happening? How many events have the 6 happening? Well, only one side has the 6 dots. How many total outcomes are there? Well, there are 6 sides, so I would have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 6. Okay, that's how probability works. Today's lesson is about experimental probability. And it's calculated on measuring occurrences of A in a sample data. So we actually do a trial to find out how many times A occurs. Using the results of the sample or trial can allow you to make predictions about the likelihood of future occurrences to happen. Okay, the probability is always between 0 and 1. Remember, 0 is 0% chance of happening and 1 is 100% chance of happening. Okay, we will start here in class tomorrow.